Back here is your girl Katie. With always, with me always is the beautiful Miss K2 Cray. Back again for another episode because everybody just loves to hear us talk. I'm just kidding. So let's get it. Before we get started, as always, y'all know what it is. Mental health is our emotional, psychological, and social well being. It is how we think, how we feel, and how we act. It helps us determine stress, how we handle stress, relate to others, and make healthy choices. So, with that being said, and with us making healthy choices, Kay, take it away.
All right, and that rhymes, bars. Okay, so
I'm
what's
spitting.
up, yeah? Okay, hot fire, die line, die line. Okay, but y'all, today we about to get vulnerable. Okay, I'm just letting you know.
Them
So
high notes.
today's topic. Okay, I'm trying to hit it, girl. Get my mixtape. Okay, today we talking about self love and relationships. Okay, and that has a lot to do with the mental health. Now, I'm gonna try not to cry like a little biatch.
Oh,
You know, I am going to, say some flaws that I have. I definitely want us to be open with each other and to grow together because I want everyone to know that we are not perfect and we go through things too. But the biggest thing of it all is getting back up and how you fix the situation. That is the biggest thing. So, with that being said, my self love journey has been a deep and long one, and it's never ending, never ending. And just learning to love myself first before I can love another. There's a lot of doubt, a lot of doubt that occurs because that's kind of like how I was raised, not to feel, empowered by myself, but
mhm,
to just kind of embody, not, I don't want to say humbleness, but just, you're just there, you know what I mean? And when you feel like you're just there, you really don't take certain things, I want to say, well,
mhm,
you kind of like don't understand things or don't believe things. If someone tries to, I guess, like be nice or, they operate a little differently than you expect them to, you kind of feel either like left out or you feel like unwanted. And those are things that you don't want to feel.
right,
You want to be able to be at peace within yourself, so that when someone else joins the team, it's like it's a uplifting thing. It's not a you're dragging them down or they're making you act out of character. You feel me? So like, what are some things that um you feel can hinder you yourself, or what do you think can hinder you in relationships if you don't have self love?
um, thank you for asking that.
Did
Uh,
I word it right?
yeah,
Please.
yeah, you were.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of things. I mean, definitely not loving yourself can put you in a positions where you can easily be taken advantage of. I feel like we as a community, I don't feel like you're alone when you say that you weren't taught that growing up. I feel like as a whole, I don't want to say it's a majority of the things because I know a lot of beautiful, confident black people, and that is courtesy of how they were raised. You
Mhm.
There are some like you and myself who I wasn't taught that. I wasn't taught to love myself. I wasn't taught to look in the mirror and see beauty when I saw my reflection. You
Mm.
know, so especially I feel like with the world that we live in now because people are so quick to take advantage of someone that they can see doesn't have that self-love or self-respect for themselves. There's a lot of people out here who will take advantage of that. So I feel like self-love is very important. And I feel like if you don't have that, like I said, you can end up being taken advantage of very easily.
Yeah, setting boundaries has been a journey for me. With boundaries, I never really had them because I was just taught to do whatever to make the other person happy, and like my happiness will, I guess, come in time, you know what I mean? But I had to grow into no, if I'm not happy, say something. If it's after you say it and it's not being, either implicated or you don't see like some type of effort, then it's time to, part ways. Not everybody is going to be for you, and you're not going to be for everybody.
Right.
And just taking time for yourself to just enjoy you, that makes a heck of a lot difference. You should be able to laugh by yourself. You should be able to love on yourself. You should be able to just have that peace of mind.
Mm,
And I make mistakes daily. But the biggest aspect that I like about it is that through those mistakes, I see them and I do take accountability and I do apologize for them. Um, I tend to give up very easily, because I never really had that, I want to say, like supportive push. So I had to grow into pushing myself to continuing. Um, I definitely realized that I have absorbed a lot of negative traits from my upbringing,
mm,
and shutting down was is one of them. And that's one of my main character flaws that I'm working on, is shutting down. A brief aspect of it, just like when I get overwhelmed or
mm.
when I feel like things are not going a certain way, I will shut down. And
Yeah.
that's something that I see in our community a lot too. If you try, and nobody's kind of like, coming on board or whatever the case may be, if you feel like you don't have the support and then you just say, F it, maybe it's not supposed to be. That's definitely something that we got to stop doing. And like I said, when I say we, talk about me too. I am you, you and me. So I definitely want us to get better with staying the course, accepting what happens, but moving accordingly, not getting overwhelmed, and communicating. Like, we have to realize that people think differently because we were all raised differently. You know what I mean? You could say something or do something to me and I take it highly offensive because I feel like that's not right, but for you it's like normal. So we definitely have to get better with communicating. Um Being vulnerable has been a touchy subject for me because um sometimes when I do open up, and kind of like say some of the reasons why I react certain ways, people take it as weakness. When I'm just explaining to you my thought process. So we got to get into the stages of when someone opens up to you or when someone is trying to let you know why they are who they are, listening, absorbing, and kind of like communicating your viewpoint, I guess. Um, I feel like comfort goes a lot of way, long way. Comfort goes a long way, especially with me.
Mm.
Instead of bashing, I I like it better when, someone is like, "Oh, okay, I can understand," or maybe let me give you some time, or maybe let me listen to why. It is what it is. So I just really got to get better with communicating, and that's with friendships, work, people in passing, because we got to communicate with everybody,
Mm.
right? On a everyday basis, we got to speak to people. So we really got to learn how to speak to each other. Um, Relationships does not mean always um like a lover or something like that. Relationships just mean,
A
well,
ver-
in my eyes, it's just an interaction. You know what I'm saying? Just an interaction amongst people.
Mhm.
Um, and so we have to have better relationships with each other. And I'll be at the job and I'll be like, dang, like the way that people just ask for things or just come at you, it just bothers me. And I'll be like, that's okay. Like if I spoke to you like that, you would be cool. You know what I mean? Like we really gotta sit back and be like, yo, am I being a good human right now? Am I being a good human? Because I don't feel like we're doing the human thing, like humanity has lost itself. And I've recognized that we become very selfish in certain things.
I was just
And
about to
exactly, we get real selfish. And it's just we live in a me society, and I understand.
stop taking the words out my mouth. I swear to God, I was just going to say that exact thing. I was just going to say Chris Rock said it best. His newest documentary, I think it's on Netflix, maybe, but
Okay.
he said we live in such a me world. Like it's all about
Mm,
me, and that is so true. Like I
yeah.
want to get back though to when you were talking about you setting boundaries, how you've noticed that some people tend to have a problem with the boundaries that you set for yourself. And I feel like as uh community boundaries or are important because I don't feel like we have that when it comes
Mm,
to relationships. I feel like
yeah.
we're a very much not all, but as a collective is more of the speak when spoken to. Like unless I ask for your opinion,
Yeah.
then or whatever the case may be. For example, when it comes to um, our black men, if in relationships like hey I'm setting this boundary that as a man I don't want a woman who screams at me or whatever the case may be, he might be looked at a certain way. Setting that boundaries the same when it comes to black women, we tend to get that, oh you got an attitude, you're being, like, oh
Difficult.
that's too much. That's how I've been made to feel anyway. I've
Mm,
experiences where I did set boundaries like, hey, boundary for me is I'm not sleeping with you just because we went on a date a few times. Things for
right.
prime example, and I've had instances where men have got upset with me for that and have, because that was a boundary that I set, and so I feel like boundaries are very important because that's how you protect yourself. Nobody
Mm,
should care more about you than you. There's no
exactly.
advocate for yourself than yourself. So boundaries are important, and boundaries are things that I don't feel like as, you know, black women growing up we were allowed to have. We were
Right.
you cook, you clean, you take care of home. That's how you get the husband. That's how you be a good mom. That's how you keep the home happy. That's what you do. You're not allowed to have days where you don't feel like getting out of bed and making dinner. You're not allowed to have days where you don't feel like being that perfect wife. I don't feel like we as a society allow our black women to have those boundaries. And if we
Mm,
do have those boundaries, then it's, oh, you're asking for too much. You're doing too.
mm,
You're
mm.
there's men out here that aren't going for that. There's men out here
Right.
find a woman that will do X, Y, and Z. So it's like it's
And I'm
important.
glad you said that. I'm really glad you said that because I had to looking at other cultures and looking at, how the women I love watching documentaries first of all. And I love seeing the human psyche. I love learning how people learn and how people are. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, we all are different and that's what makes us amazing. Okay. And it's just communication goes so deep and we really have to understand that. And so I would look at, these women speak about, their boundaries and what they wanted, what they expected and all of these things. And I'm like, wow, like you can request all of that? Like that's okay. Like and then the guy, like she was telling dude, like, I want this and you gotta have this and blah 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 blah. And he was like, yeah, I got that. I got that. And blah
Mm,
blah blah blah. And I was like, what? Is this how it is? Like
right,
people are accepting? So it's like I realized that if you're confident and you stand 10 toes down in what you believe in and what you want, then somebody is going to pick it up. Somebody gonna pick it up.
For
And like I was saying earlier, you're not going to be for everyone, and everyone's not for you. And if someone doesn't want to communicate, doesn't want to try to, I don't want to say conform, but I want to say come to, what's the word?
please accept you for who you are.
Exactly, accept you for who you are. Speaking of acceptance, I was watching. I don't know if you ever seen Issa Rae's Awkward Fat Girl. Have you ever seen that?
I have not, but I love her, so I'm gonna go look that up.
Please look it up. Okay, so when I first saw that show, it's on YouTube if y'all want to look it up. Type in Issa Rae awkward black girl. Okay. When I started watching that, it really opened my eyes to the whole awkward female thing because I thought that it was something wrong with me because of how I interact.
Yeah,
Like I would look at some of my friends and I'm like, dang, they are just so smooth and they just this and so you know what I mean? And it's like all the guys wanted them. And so like I just started getting into myself. Okay. So at my age, I don't want to say old age, we're growing wiser, not older.
yeah,
Okay. So in my wise age, I am learning to love myself. And to kind of like see myself as no, I deserve this. Like I'm an awesome chap, you know? And like when I saw it, how she used to like when she was frustrated and stuff and she was rapping in the mirror and like doing freestyles when she was mad, I was like, oh my God, I do that too. And I thought it was something wrong with me. And then, like, reading the comments, I love reading comments.
mhm,
And like there were a lot of women saying, yo, when I'm mad, I freestyle, or when I'm this, I do that, or when I make eye contact with somebody for too long or something, I feel some type of way. Like it's just like all these quote unquote awkwardness moments that makes us who we are. So I had to embrace myself and I needed people on my team, friends, significant others to understand that like you should always be happy with being yourself and never feel ashamed in being yourself. You know what I mean? Like the other day I went dancing. I don't know how to dance. I got a mean two step, you know what I'm saying? But I don't feel comfortable dancing
yeah,
in front of people. And that's something that, a person has to understand. You know what I'm saying? And either you embrace it or, you kind of like that's where I go with the comfort thing.
yeah,
Oh, you don't know how, let me teach you, or just it's okay. Don't care about nobody else. Like don't be mad and like, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like always comfort someone in who they want to be. You know what I mean? Or who they're trying to be, shall I say.
yeah,
And I want to say that I am I'm slowly getting there. You know what I mean? I'm not 100%. And I will admit that. A lot of people see me and like how I am and they're like, "Oh, you're so confident." I'm no Siri Bobcat. I still have days where I look at myself and I'm like, "You are so ugly. Why are
mm,
you ugly?" And I say, and then now I'm like, "Stop it. Stop it.
yeah,
Don't do that. Don't do
yeah,
that." You know what I mean? So it's like learning to love yourself. You can never, ever, ever love another or add other people until you are, straight with yourself because those insecurities, some people, they don't have patience for that.
right,
Some people don't have patience to deal with your transition, and some
right,
people will. And
right,
it's okay because it's not their job to have patience. If somebody is supposed to have patience with you, they're going to have it.
hmm,
But if they not, you can't get mad at yourself. And I had to say that too. You can't get mad when someone doesn't want to have patience with you. If
right,
you know that you're trying to get into alignment and to be your higher self, then you keep going. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna feel low sometimes. You're gonna feel like, dang, what am I doing this for? But just remember, at the end of the day, you're doing this for you. And once you are happy, everything around you will conform. And I'm learning that. You know what I
right,
mean? I'm really learning that. And apologizing feels so good when you know that, oh, wow. I was the drama. I am. I need to calm down. There are some good people out there. And it's hard, I want to say, on the dating aspect when you're so used to ass swipes and you just keep that guard up,
Yeah.
and that guard will push people away, and sometimes you'll push the person that was for you away because you're having unnecessary breakdowns, you know what I mean? And I don't want to say unnecessary. It's because everything happens for a reason, right? And when you have these breakdowns, that's when you have to kind of like collect yourself and be like, okay, why am I feeling this way? What are the emotions going on in my mind? And let me take a step back before I make this any worse. You know what I mean? And watching your thoughts and your words, not being quick to speak, you know, learning that. What are some things that you've worked on your journey to make relationships better?
Yeah, so I feel like um with self-love comes confidence. Like I feel like those
Mhm.
two have to go hand in hand. So that's something that I've definitely been working on with myself. Like you said, not perfect. There are days that I don't feel like her, even though I am her. There's days I don't that, and so just having that confidence within yourself, even if you're not feeling yourself, because you could look at a man and a woman and he could be good looking and she could not, or vice versa, and you can't figure out how he got her or she got him.
Right.
The level of confidence that that person has, you're just blown away. Like, wow, like you ain't all that, but you sure walking around like it. Beauty's
See,
definitely.
and that's one thing. I don't never think like that.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
ever think like that.
but there is people that,
There are people, yeah, you're right.
but it's just like with that in mind, it's that level of confidence that makes the difference. I feel like in the success or failure of a lot of our relationship endeavors that we take when it comes to being single and trying to date, looking at it from that aspect. I know for me, something that I had to work on that played a huge part in my dating was, like I said, that self confidence, being able to say to myself, do you deserve this? Is this
Mhm.
something that you feel like is okay, especially being divorced, coming
Mhm.
out of a relationship? Very important for me that I didn't want to make the same mistakes that I made before. You
Right.
Again, with that lack of self confidence within myself came the need for me to feel like I had to be number one. Like that was something that I learned from my divorce, that the man matters too. You
Mhm.
And that for me was something that wasn't mindful of, because I feel like I didn't have that self-love and self-confidence in myself. So constantly needing that reassurance, making it all about me because I felt some type of way and I needed reassurance that that wasn't the case, or I was good enough. That definitely for me was a huge thing. And so that's one of the things that I took away from my previous relationship. Not saying that that was the entire reason that it didn't work, but for
Right.
me, learning from my past, because I don't feel like we make mistakes as long as we learn from them. Because
Right.
we're all on a journey through this thing called life. We're all going to have, nobody's perfect. There's no
Mhm.
manual to guide us, to tell us how to do X, Y, and Z so that we don't mess up along the way or trip or stumble. I feel like it becomes a mistake when you keep doing it. Then,
Exactly.
but if it's just something that, happened, that you're like, hey, okay, I get it, lesson learned, then that's a lesson somewhere along the way, more than it is a mistake. But that's definitely something that I've worked on and am working on within myself, is having that confidence within myself, because I never want to feel like I need somebody else to be happy. I was watching, there was a
Mhm.
documentary that Will Smith did, where he had said like, I'm not responsible for your happiness. I
Mhm.
help cater to your happiness, support your happiness, but you shouldn't look to me as your spouse to make you happy. I
Yeah.
shouldn't go to like, okay, I'm gonna find happiness in this man or woman.
Mhm.
Like you have to find happiness within yourself because, like you said, we're all human. There's so many different varieties of all of us, so many different personalities that it's very important to have that connection with yourself, that like, hey, I know what I want, I know what I don't want. Because if not, then, like, for me, example, going back to me again, using myself, you get lost in that relationship, you have no identity, you're just the
Mhm.
wife, you're just the mom, and outside of that, you're nothing. It's like, well, outside of being a mom and a wife, what am I? What do I like? I don't know what I like,
Mm.
but I can tell you what my kids like. I don't know what I like, but I can tell you what my husband likes. So having that self confidence, that self love within yourself is very, very important because it helps you to prevent having those relationships that don't work out. Because
Right.
because I feel like if you have that self love and confidence within yourself, this is for men and women alike, not just men, not just women, but as a collective, then those failed relationships will be few and far between because
Right.
you're get into a relationship where like, hey, this isn't for me because you love yourself enough to see that this isn't for me. You know what I mean?
Right. And another thing was with the going back to the communication, and also the what you want and everything like that. I'll say an example. I'll say an example on I want to say like the friendship side and then a significant other side. Okay, so first of all, I have a friend who she doesn't have a lot of female friends. Okay, she learned how to be that way from her mother. Okay, and she's so used to people like chasing after her that she felt like she didn't have to do anything in the friendship. Everybody would just do stuff for her. So I would have to be like, hey, like this a two-way street. Like we got to, we have to communicate with each other and we got to be there for each other. It's not just me for you or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? So she was like, "Wow, I didn't even know I was doing that. I'm just so used to people coming to me. I didn't have to, I didn't have to come to them." So I was like, "No, we got to do this together." And that's the same thing in a significant other. You know what I mean? Like some people don't know what to do because they're either not used to it or they just don't know. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And we can't fault that. But the biggest part of communication is if your friend, if your boss or anybody, a significant other, if any relationship that you have around you is telling you, how they operate, then I feel like it's your job to um kind of find that common ground. You know what I mean? If I see like for example, if I'm dating somebody and they pull back or they're the type of person who's like a hermit, like every 5 days or whatever, or they go into isolation mode. You know what I mean? Like I have to understand, okay, this is what Steve does. This is what Steve does. I'm gonna comfort Steve and I'm gonna be like, hey Steve, when you get out your ball, just know that I'm here. If you want, if you need anything, call on me, Steve. Call on me.
Yeah.
You feel me? Same with a friendship. Okay, I see you starting to post or you getting a little snappy. What's going on? When you ready to talk, let me know. I'm here for you. We gotta be quick to comfort and not to start the chaos. You know what I mean? Oh, you want to have attitude? F you too then. All right, then blah, boom, 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 boom. Oh, you want to not talk to me? Then blah 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 blah. We gotta stop. And when I'm saying we, I'm saying me too because like I said with the shutdown, if I feel like the energy is changing, then I've learned to kind of like cut you off. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And some people don't need that cut off. They just might have anxiety, or they might just not know how to speak to you at the moment. Or sometimes I take a moment to myself so that I can, and when I have respect for you, I definitely take my time in saying what I need to say, especially if it deals with my emotions.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to come off as complaint. Is it it's not complaint. No, that's not a word. But I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. So I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. I'm just opening myself, being vulnerable and telling you how I feel. So we really gotta stop. And I'm saying people with black women, I feel like we're not allowed to have feelings or
Mhm.
have complaints, honestly. Everybody else could speak to the manager except for us. Like
Yeah.
I literally had girl, I went out yesterday, right? And I had a bug in my salad. I did good. I got a salad, girl. I got a salad. It was good as fuck.
Nice. Woo,
It
woo.
was good. But the thing that I liked was the bug. So the
Yeah.
bug was in the
No,
salad. Huh?
no
You
meat.
said don't eat it. Somebody told me to
No,
eat it because it was protein. I was like, mm,
no,
anyway.
I said no meat because we're doing the no meat thing.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. No meat, no meat, no meat. Yes, and I gotta make my tea tonight too. While you
nice.
reminded me. Thank you.
Hmm.
Um, and we're gonna talk about that too afterwards. And thank you for bringing that up.
Sure.
Because that's part of self love too. Um, all um um all my life I've been made fun of. Well, let me not say all my life because it's not done, but the previously
Yeah.
on K's
And
life,
yeah.
previously it was, a lot of, oh, you're fat, you're ugly, you'll never amount to this, you're never this. So like I absorbed that and I kind of like stopped caring. But now me and KT doing this journey where, we're working out and, eating healthier and just taking care of our temples for that self love. Because since we love ourselves, we have to make sure that we are taking care of our bodies, our
Yeah.
minds, and our spirits.
Hmm.
Um, been just working on affirmations and everything, and that's part of self love.
Yeah.
You got to be your biggest fan before anyone can. And part of the whole relationship thing, we can't compare. That's a big thing. Cannot compare, because I was getting myself down in the dumps because I was seeing all of my friends get relationships, get married. Literally, you meet somebody one day and now y'all dating for a month. So it's like it made me
Yeah.
feel some type of way because I was like, dang, what's wrong with me? You know what I'm saying? I was like,
I
what's
feel
wrong
like
with
us do that, and we have
me?
to be careful
Yeah,
of that because we've learned from the past, time and time again, that what you see on the outside is not always what's going on. Like you think a couple is happy, they're all lovey dovey, but on the inside, fighting like cats and dogs. So
right.
I feel like as a collective, we have to get out of thinking like that, of like, oh,
Yeah,
that I was them, or because I'm guilty of doing that too. I've had friends that I went to school with that are out living their life. They're traveling the world and they have, seems like what looks like the perfect life. And I'm like, why
right.
can't I find something like that? So then I start, well, again, something wrong with
Woe
me.
is me. Yes, something wrong with me. We gotta understand that we all have our own journey and we have to trust it.
Right.
Everybody has their time. It could have took them 13 years to get to where they at now. It could have took them so many, frogs for them to get their prince or princess or person, whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like we have to understand you don't know how long
Hmm.
it's been for a person to get to where they got. Some people, it may seem like, oh, it just happened out the blue. Nothing is out the blue. It's all in divine timing. And we
Hmm.
have to believe that. Maybe there's some things that you still got to experience before that person is ready for you or you ready for that person. You know what I mean? A lot of the times we live in a instant gratification, like we want stuff now, but we
Yeah.
really have to let it grow organically. Like you don't see a tree, a big oak tree, and be like, grow now. Like it takes years and years and years for it to get to where it's been, to
Right.
have that stability, to have that. that strength within itself. And in order for us to be who we need to be, we have to get that strength. We have to have that time. We gotta let stuff marinate, you know? And that's the biggest thing that I've been telling myself. Like, even with this journey, us together, it
Mm,
took years for me to find you or for us to align together.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And I've tried this with other people and I didn't get a connection, and I'm dead ass. I didn't get a connection like I have with you. And you've been more of family to me than some people who got my own DNA, you know? So it's like we had to get ready for this, you
yeah,
know? We really had to get ready for us to be who we are now. And I
yeah,
want everybody to know that if you feel like you're in a spot where you're comparing to others and you start like lowering yourself, just remember that you're freaking awesome. Okay.
right.
I want you to know that you're awesome. And I'm
Find that.
speaking, I'm speaking to y'all, okay? I want you to know you're awesome. I want you to love yourself.
Yeah.
Work on it. Even if you don't know what love is, look it up in a dictionary and look at yourself. Look at yourself.
What
Be like,
to
how can I love you better?
love about yourself. I was
You
watching
have to.
Mike Epps presents last night, and the female comedian he had on there, she said that like if all you have is that on your body, a good sexy ear, show it, rock it, wear it
Yeah.
with, find whatever it is within yourself for
Yeah.
you to love and love it unconditionally, because you're not
Yes.
get that from anybody else. You can have it all or have nothing, and at the end of the day, what happens to you, what happens for you, how you feel completely depends on you. Nobody can
Yes.
tell you how to feel. Nobody can tell you how to think. Somebody can tell you you're beautiful, but if you don't believe that,
It's
then
not gonna be real.
waste of words, and I
Exactly.
take it back to where you were talking about the importance of communicating, because I feel like communication is important, but I feel like the way that we communicate is more important.
Yes. And that's the part of communication too. That's why I was like, we got to be better with how we speak to each other. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's I literally, like, I don't know if you've ever like just sit back and watch how people and you be like, dang, this is really what we doing on this rock. We really acting like this. And it scares me. And also what we do to the planet too. We don't love ourselves enough to love where we live in.
Right.
I literally seen someone driving the car and throw a bag outside on the floor and just drive away like they didn't invent trash cans. You know what I mean? Like, which y'all got going on?
Right.
And it's like, when people pollute the water, pollute the air, pollute the food, that's that damages our self-love too.
Mm,
Because the chemicals mess with us, believe it or not. You
yeah.
know? And everything starts with love and ends with love, believe it or not. And I ain't trying to sound like no hippie or nothing, but that is really the
It's
biggest
true.
message. We lack so much love. We lack so much love, and it's
Agree.
scary. It's so scary, and I know that we've had a very chaotic couple of years. So, like, I literally think that a lot of people rebooted
Mm,
during Corona and quarantine, and it was like we forgot how to be humane to each other. Like, that
right.
time in the house kind of made us like afraid to communicate, afraid to be vulnerable, afraid to be nice.
Right.
Like, somebody cough and people just I've seen somebody fight because someone was looking at them and
Mm,
because they sneezed. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, y'all literally, like, yo, y'all know sneezing and coughing and illnesses was before this shit. Like, come on, G.
right.
Like, it's just a lot of stuff that I've noticed, and it's just like it's building up. And
Yeah.
I literally listen to people every day use excuses and have all the excuses on the world why they can and are justified in being rude.
Right.
I had someone speak to me at the job, and was like, I was like, well, why are you so, you little spicy right now? You need to calm down. And they was like, oh, well, my mom is in the hospital and my pet dog is sick and I got to put my dog down and all that kind of stuff because it done bit my neighbor. And I'm stressed out about that because I done had Lucky for 24. It was like, it was just, and I'm like, but what does that have to do with this interaction here? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm not your mom. I'm not your dog and I'm doing nothing to hurt you.
Right.
But you're taking the anger and frustration out on me.
Yeah.
I've noticed, especially here, it's a lot of the passing of the negative energy. Why are you yelling? Why are you this? Oh,
Right.
because of this. You know what I mean? There's always an excuse as to why we can be rude, but never is there a reason why we can be nice. Like people, when you say, well, why can't you just be nice? People look at you like they don't know what to say. But if
Right.
you ask somebody, why are you mad? They can tell you a long list, you know? So we
Right.
need to get back to that happiness
Right.
because things are going to happen. Things are going to rock our world. But we have to be able to be our own rock and stay solid in that positivity. You know what I mean? I'm not saying everything's going to be, hey, hi, how's your day? But you never know how much that can change somebody else's day. I
Right.
told somebody I liked their outfit and that they had a pretty smile. And do you know they came back and they was like, you know what? Thank you for that. Because today I woke up and I was in a real bad mood. And I was real funky. And just
Yeah.
that really nice gesture made my day. And they
Yeah.
were smiling for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Those little, and I was having a horrible day, in my opinion.
And
But I still try to spread happiness.
didn't that make you feel good to know that you made somebody else feel good?
Yeah. And
Because
that's why I don't get why people don't show love and kindness more
because
often.
it's a natural thing. I feel like us as human beings, if you really think about it when it comes down to it, that is a natural state of being human. You feel good making somebody else feel good. And so I feel like that is important as well,
Yeah.
having self love within yourself to be able to recognize that there's more than you that exists on this planet, and that
Mhm.
could be spending your time giving out compliments, holding the door open for people, just spreading that positive energy. It makes such,
Exactly.
and I feel like, again, I just want to take it back to when it comes to communication, because I feel like for me that it's a huge thing when it comes to relationships and their
Mhm.
successes or failures. Not only, like I said, how we communicate, because I feel like we as humans, we tend to listen to be right than to listen to communicate. You hear what I'm saying, you're talking to me, you're listening, but when I'm done speaking, are you going to respond in a way that's making me feel like you heard what I said and you're working with me to come to a solution? Or are you going to respond to me in a way that's going to make me feel defensive and make me feel like all you're doing is trying to defend yourself? Because for me,
Right.
with relationships that I've had, that has been an issue. Just the way that the communication happened. It was always like listening to be right. Because again, living in a me world, it's all about me. I want to get the last word. I'm going to be,
Right.
you're wrong. I don't care if I started this or not. I'm not going to sit here and admit to that. We can fight all day. So it's just like I said, I feel like that is something that, as you know, not just as uh me, you, man, woman, as a whole, as a community, that's something that as human beings that we can definitely work on, is just
Yeah. Communication, how we talk to others. And
and
like you said, listening.
yeah,
People don't listen. Like you will literally tell them how to treat you.
right,
And they will just be like, oops, I don't know why they acting like
right,
that. What?
right.
What? I just told you. What you mean? So it's like, and then that gets frustrating.
It,
So we really have to listen, compromise, and communicate better. And those things sound so simple, but it seems like the most simplest things are the hardest.
Yeah.
Like I tell you all the time, I literally, if I see somebody, even in my neighborhood, I say, "Hey, Grand Rising, good afternoon. How you doing?" They look at you like you asked them for a kidney. Like, damn, I'm just saying hi. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it's like this is the first area where I go outside. I don't even know my neighbors. I don't even know nothing. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? And it's crazy because where I'm from, people like, "Hey, how you doing? How your mom damn da 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 da."
Right.
And you know what I mean? You ain't got to you don't have to come over and grease my scalp. You don't have to do that. But just, "Hey, how you doing?"
Right.
And then people will literally look at you in your soul and turn their head.
Yeah.
And that makes you feel like, "Damn, we living on this whole planet in this whole apartment together, and you can't even be cordial, G." That
Yeah.
shit that ruffles my feathers. Like I just don't understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like people scare me, but people amaze me at times.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm scared to even, and we should never be scared to say hello to somebody.
Right.
Never. You don't know who that person is, and you never know how that person can bless you.
Right.
You know? And it's
Right.
like
Bless
I
them.
just
Just
don't get it.
saying hello, letting them know that you see
I
them.
see you, and
Yeah, I've made that a habit to do that because I feel like as a community, that's not something that we do often. I feel like you might find that in the South some places, but I feel like as a whole, we're not the hey, how you
girl, I'm
doing?
in the South. The South, that whole Southern hospitality thing, that's a joke. That
Yeah.
is a joke. I've met the most rudest people in the South,
Mm,
okay? The most rudest people.
mm,
And like when I tell people where I'm from, they expect me to be this just whole hardcore type person. No, it's like I am the most loving person ever. And if you are in my circle, I only want to do nothing but uplift you. And some people, when I just have my RBF face or whatever, when I'm just listening to my music, people will think some type of way. You know what I mean? But I'm telling you, sunshine. That's all I want to be in a person's life.
yeah.
And it just hurts me. And I know that sounds so sappy or whatever, but I just love people so much that I want them to love themselves and love each other. And it just pains me that we can't even say, we can't even, say hello. We can't even hold the door for people. I had somebody slam the door in my face when they saw me walking, and I'm like, and I had to start laughing. And I started singing. I said, "Ooh, humanity, I pray for thee." You know what I'm saying? I had to say that. He looked back and he looked at me like I was crazy. And I'm like, "Yeah, but you the crazy one for being a freaking nutter butter." You know what I'm saying? Like, why is that? You
Yeah.
know? Like,
Yeah.
why is that?
Yeah.
And then, with some women, where, if a guy says hello, and that's a whole different topic too, and they'll be like, "I have a boyfriend," or "I don't want to talk to you," or whatever. And then guys will stop saying hello. And it's like that whole chivalry thing, opening the door, and then some people will be like, "Why you holding the door for me? I can open it myself."
Right.
So it's like when people try to be nice, other people condemn it, and so people stop being nice because they stop, wanting to hear the condemning. And it's just a cycle. It's a
Yeah.
cycle. So we really got to fix whatever in ourselves that is stopping us from accepting love and giving.
Yeah.
And I promise you, this world will be a better place. If we just started the day with love and ended it with love, no matter what happens, it will be an even playing field. And
Yeah.
that's part of mental health too,
Yeah.
because everyone goes through stuff, and that does not mean that you have the right to be rude. It does not mean that you have the right to create chaos.
Right.
"Oh, I had a bad childhood, so I'm going to go unalive all these people." You know what I mean? That has so many people had bad childhoods.
Or
But
I'm having a bad day, so I'm gonna make somebody else have a bad day.
exactly. Exactly. Like some people have a pissy day at work, so when they get on this road, they want to cut you off and they want to do all this extra stuff, make you miss lights or ram into you or do all this Ricky Bobby type shit on the road. And you're like, why are you doing this?
Right.
You know? Oh, I had a bad day, so F everybody. What?
Mm-hmm.
That makes no sense to me. So we got to stop with the passing of the negativity and we have to get back to that self-love. And like I said, relationships only mean interactions with
Mm.
people. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, nobody owns you. We are here to experience. That is what we forget. We are so into ownership, or this is mine, this is yours, or I don't want to, this is an experience.
Yeah.
And so, what are we making this experience about? What is the purpose?
Right.
Okay. There is a deeper meaning to all of this. And I feel like we've been lost in translation because we're so worried about the wrong things.
Yeah.
Okay. So many times I hear all this chaos when at the end of the day it started and it ends with us. We are
Mm.
the author of our stories, so we got to make our stories better. And that's why I'm saying me too.
Yeah.
I'm literally taking the pen because for so long I gave other people the pen. I gave other people the pen because I thought they would make my story better, they would fix it. But
Hmm.
we have to save ourselves. We got to
Yeah.
stop looking for others to save us. We got to save ourselves, you
Yeah.
know. Yep.
Exactly. I feel like we've gotten so far away from that golden rule that we were taught in school, which was treat others how you want to be treated. That's something that I live by. That's something that I, you
Yeah.
know, and when it comes to relationships, I always been the type where, I can forgive, I can forgive. What's hard for me as an individual is forgetting or forgiving things that should have never happened to me in the first
Right.
place. So that's my whole thing. That's what I live by. I treat people how I want to be treated. And I feel like as a collective, just as a society, not even a community, a society, we don't do that. I can, cuss you out. I can close the door on you, but God forbid you do that to me, it's going to be a problem. You
Right.
have to get out of that because I feel like if we spend our time treating people how we want them to be treated, 90% of the shit that goes down wouldn't go down. You
Exactly.
it's about getting back to that as well and putting forth that effort the same way that we are putting forth the effort to get healthy as far as our self-love journey goes, because what screams self-love better than allowing yourself to be healthy and treat your body the way that you would love or treat anybody else. you know
Right.
feel
We're
like
literally a plant.
yeah.
We're literally a plant. You got to put the right nourishment or else you don't grow properly, right? You got to get that sunlight. You got to get that water. Got to get them vitamins, just like a plant.
Love, because believe it or not, you can have a house plant that dies in your house because there is not enough love there. That is a real
Exactly.
scientific fact that
Yeah.
plants can grow off of love. So as human beings, why are we any different when it comes to
Exactly.
love? So I feel like that self love is so important. Being able to find ways to communicate in a healthy way, even if that's not how you were raised, because I know there is, people out there who were raised in complete and utter chaos, and there's people out there who weren't, and these two people grow into an adults and fall in love and try to form a life together, and they're
Yeah.
not fair because this person was raised being used to chaos and non-communication and this person was not saying that because of that you can't find that, but saying that you need to find that. You have to be able to find that within yourself so that you are,
Compromise.
yeah. it-
Compromise and comfort. That's what I'm saying. The comfort part. Like, of course, there's gonna be a point where, because with the whole chaos thing. Now, if you're not actively working towards getting through that trauma, it don't matter how much comfort you get, you're still gonna push it away.
Yeah.
But if you are in a if you are actively working towards getting that trauma, at ease, like you're never gonna get over it, but it's ways that you get through it, shall I say? Because you're gonna always have triggers or moments where you remember certain things. That's just how the brain works. It just be like, hey, you remember this? Hey, you remember this? But it's how you get through it. So as a partner, as a friend in a relationship, you have to be able to be like, okay, I see the signs of maybe she was triggered by this, or maybe they were triggered by that. Let me make sure and reiterate, hey, I just want you to know. I see your left eye twitching right now. I just want you to know I'm here for you. I'm sorry if what I said triggered you, and let me rephrase what I'm saying, okay?
Right.
And this is not changing yourself for someone. This is compromising, because when you care for somebody, you're going to make sure that they straight. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And that's on a two-way street. You're gonna make sure that the communication is on point. You're gonna make sure that they feel like they are being heard and loved.
Yeah.
At least that's what a healthy relationship is. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Some people don't care, and it's just like, oh, they don't wanna, they have an issue, let them have it themselves. You
Right.
know? Some
And
people, you have to let them have their time to kind of breathe and woosah and get themselves together. But I feel like on the other end of the stick, the other person should be like, hey, I just want you to know I'm here, okay?
mhm,
And I'm ready to listen when you're ready to talk. Can't force nobody to be better right now,
right.
but you can reiterate that, hey, I'm here. I know you're working through stuff. Let's work through this together.
Yeah.
And even if you don't have that significant other or friend or positive people in your scene, that's when you got to be there for you.
Ooh, I
And
well in the building.
hey, how you doing? Um, that's
Okay.
when you got to be there for you.
Yeah.
And being there for you should be the main priority, because you can never love another if you don't love and respect yourself.
Yeah, and I don't feel like, what you were saying as far as communication goes, that it's compromise. I feel like it's more doing your part to maintain that healthy relationship, because being able to figure out how to communicate with somebody in a way where they feel seen, where they feel heard, where they feel respected, that comes with contributing to maintaining a healthy relationship, because you have to have that. So I feel like compromising kind of sounds like you're accepting things you wouldn't normally accept. Like, okay, well, I'll make this compromise with you type thing. But it's more, so that's why I'm saying, like, for me, it's more of the, I'm doing my part. I'm figuring out different styles to communicate with you, so that way I can do my part to help maintain a healthy relationship, a healthy avenue of
See,
communication.
and that's what my definition of compromise is. I
Because
feel like that's my definition. I
eyes,
feel like compromise means finding a common ground where
yeah.
we can work to get better. I guess that's, see, and you see,
So
we got
finding,
the same word, but you
yeah,
thought I was, you know what I'm saying? And that's a perfect example right there. You see how we can say certain words to each other, and somebody automatically think of it as, I'm not talking about you, I'm just saying
right,
in general. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking the concept.
yeah,
So it's like, you can say something or have a phrase or have a conversation, and
yeah,
in their mind somebody is thinking a whole different thing, and then when you hear it you're like, nah, I don't like how this sounds. So that's why we got to get into the conversation, like, what do you mean by that, or what's
or
your
like
version of what a compromise is?
we just did here, just repeating what you said. I know
Right.
the communication, that makes a huge difference, to be able to be speaking to somebody and they're like, okay, well, I heard that you said X, Y, or Z. Then you can go back and say, wait, well, I did say that, but this is what I meant when I said that.
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
that causes a lot of issues when it comes to communication too, is the way that people perceive or take how you say something. Because you,
Yeah.
just like you said, you could be saying it totally different, not even mean it in that way, but
Right.
because that's how I process information, how I took it, then I'm going to react a certain way because that's what I assume. So that's why it's important to always, hey, well, is this what you're saying? Is this what you mean by this? Because you can't just assume
Yeah,
that's what somebody meant, because that
exactly.
lots of issues. Like, oh well, you meant woot woot bam, and it don't even be like that. So that's why
Right,
communication is important. How we communicate is important. Being able to have that confidence in ourselves, being able to love ourselves enough to run away from those red flags and understand that what we deserve is what we deserve, and whether somebody likes it or not, that you can find somebody out there that will completely agree with what you feel like you deserve and will support that to do their part to help maintain a healthy relationship. When it comes to partners, when it comes to friendships, I feel like it's all the same. You love yourself enough to respect yourself, you won't get into those relationships or friendships that are not for you. You know what I mean?
right, right. Use that discernment. Definitely learning that, and I'm definitely learning to, I don't want to say limit myself, but not give more than what I am receiving. That
Yeah.
was a
I
big thing
had
for me.
I'm that to this day.
Yeah,
I
I'm
constantly
very guilty of that, okay? Because I definitely, um, since I didn't have that, since I didn't have that deep love growing up, I always wanted to be that type of person. You know what I'm saying? So I ended up, well, as a chronic people pleaser, because
yeah.
that's who I ended up growing up to be. I would do things for people to make them happy because it did make me happy to make someone else happy, but nobody else cared about my happiness. You know what I'm saying? And so I was overexerting myself for others and not getting anything fed into me. So
Yeah.
therefore, that was in friendships, relationships, just ships, period. Okay, all the ships.
All
And so, the ships was sinking on my end because I was like, damn, I'm literally giving all of me and I'm not getting nothing in return.
yeah.
So now, if I feel like it's not a two-way street, I'm gonna turn the corner and I'm gonna bend the block and I'm finna go and I'm finna dip, because
That,
I feel like if I communicate like, hey, this is what I see, boop, 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 boop. And if you dismiss it, then I just feel like, okay, well then it's time to move on. So that has gotten, a couple of people upset at me as well because I do cut things off real quick now. And like that it's a pro and a con. But
yeah.
I'm just trying to learn that balance
Yeah.
within myself and within other things. But then that goes to communication. And I feel like when you really care about somebody, you will kind of like, take a moment to yourself, think about what could you have done better, and then you kind of move forward and be like, okay, well, I'm sorry about this, da 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 da, but I do want to work on this, and this is what I'm working on to make me act a little bit better in a situation.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like we all do need to spend time with ourselves, and just figure out what our triggers are. Like you said earlier, what your likes, dislikes, because if you get into a relationship and you don't know who you are, you can really lose yourself. Just like how you said, you had no identity. You was just the wife. You was just the mother. And I seen so many people consume themselves where I gotta be with somebody. I gotta be. I'm 30 or I'm this amount and I need to get married and all my. You can't do that because when you force something, it seldomly stays in place. That's like a piece of the puzzle. You take the piece of puzzle and you be like, you know what, frick it, push it in there, and now you got this forced piece.
Yeah.
And time will tell it's gonna pop back out because of the pressure. So
Yeah.
like you definitely can't force things. You gotta let things come organically and you gotta work on whatever is, I guess, barricading the essential essence of what you're trying to do. You know what I mean? So like my self-love journey is learning to say my emotions instead of letting it build up and just like releasing. not giving up, not shutting down. And even if I do a mild shutdown, like an elevator shutdown, I repress that button and I get the elevator going again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely working on that. And I know that's something that the women in my family had an issue with. Like I was so used to the shutting down that I thought that was what you were supposed to do.
Right.
So now I see that it's not good. In some cases, it is good to boop, delete.
Yeah.
But in some cases, you really do have to like take a step back and be like, hey, you don't know what this person is feeling, thinking, or doing. So let's not create a narrative for something that you don't even know about. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we'll create these stories in our minds of what someone else got going on and we don't even know. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, this person is having anxiety because they feel like this, and they don't know how to talk to you. You know what I mean? So we have to always be open books and
Yeah.
be able to have that dry erase board portion in the book where we can fix and write our own narrative. You know what I mean? Like don't let nobody tell you who you are. Only you know who you are and who you want to be. So I'm definitely working on that. And I appreciate this journey that we're going through together. And I appreciate, us holding ourselves accountable and trying to get better not only for ourselves but for this world, because I feel like if we all worked on our own shit,
There'd be
that
a
would be, oh my gosh, like people don't understand. Part of making the world a better place is making ourselves better.
yeah, and
That's
I
all you literally have to do. You ain't got to save nobody else but yourself.
right,
When you save yourself, you see the world differently. You know
right.
what I mean?
I feel
You
like
see the world and you speak differently.
saving yourself is saving others as well, because
Yeah,
taking care of yourself and you're working on yourself so that you can be a better person, then that gives you
yeah,
the, you know, motivation to go out and do what we were put on this earth to do anyway, which was to help each other and to be a decent human being, And I feel like another huge part of self care and self love is looking in the mirror. And I feel like as a society, we don't tend to do that. I don't mean look in the mirror and be like, hey, let me find something about myself that I love. I mean, like, looking in the mirror and saying, what can I do different? What can I do better so that when I do get the opportunity presented in front of me to love somebody else, to be that friend to somebody else, that I am doing my part to maintain a healthy level of communication to keep that healthy relationship going. I feel like it's hard for people to look in the mirror and say, hey, maybe, I can tone it down a bit. Maybe I don't have to be quick to get angry because, or I don't have to be quick to assume that somebody's out to get me because in the past, that's all I knew. You
right.
know, little things like that make a huge difference. And I feel like Kid President, he's this kid that was on YouTube. I don't think he's doing videos now, but he said it best. He said, love is louder than hate, even if hate
Mhm.
has a bullhorn. Love is
Yeah,
all louder. So I feel like we have to always keep that in mind, not only when it comes to loving ourselves, but giving love to others. Is that,
yeah,
at the end of the day, love wins. Love is what we were created in, what we were created for. And
yeah,
having that understanding and going out into the world with nothing but love in your heart and in your mind and in your soul, it will make a huge difference, not only in the way that you make in other people's lives, but the way that you feel about yourself.
yeah.
You,
And how you see the world. How you
yeah,
see the world. I'm telling you, when I changed my perspective, that really changed everything around me. I started seeing things differently and I started wanting to be better for this world. And
yeah,
I felt like if our energy, it's all about the collective consciousness.
hmm,
And if we're all on woe is me or this is crap and this sucks and blah blah blah, that's the energy that's gonna happen.
yeah,
And we just gotta, if we know the issues and we know what's going on, even if we don't know what's going on, we all are in alignment where we know this is not how life should be. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
And
And so we definitely have to, okay, well, what we gonna do to make this better? We gotta stop saying it is what it is. We gotta stop saying that this is how it's been, because I know there had to be some point in time where there was joy on
right.
the earth first. But then there had to be that one person who came and said, why are you so happy? I don't want you to be happy anymore. I want you to be sad. So it's like, and then boom, 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 it started shit. So I just definitely want us to get better. I love
I'm
everyone and I want everyone to love themselves, okay?
for sure. Uh, yeah, so we gonna get out of here.
Yeah.
Uh, Always, thank you all for stopping by. Word of the day is self love. Love yourself so that you can love others.
Yeah.
Again, love is louder. Love is always louder. We need more love in our community. I
Love is
know that's
free, honey. It's free, baby. It's free.
free. Free. It's free. So continue to love yourselves and love each other. We love you. I love you. Kay loves you. I love Kay. Kay loves me. We're gonna get out of here. Peace and bless body with this upcoming work week. Be safe and hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that bell icon. We out. Peace.
Yes. Love y'all.
Bye.